Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God and Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of a paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer. Please stand. Takahama harani kamazumari masu kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochite sumemi oya kamu izanagi no mikoto tsukushi no himuka no tachi hana no odo no ahagi harani Misogi harai tamo toki ni narimaseru. Harai dono o kami tachi moro moro no magagoto tsumi kegaru. Harai tamae kiyome tamae tomao sukoto no yoshio. Amatsu kami kuni tsukami yao yorozu no kami tachi tomoni. Ame no fuchi koma no mimi furi tatete. Kikoshi mese to kashikomi mo maosu. Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hai tamae. Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hai tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hai tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hai tamae. Kam nagara tamachi hai mase. Kam nagara tamachi hai mase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated for group Johrei. May God and Meishu-sama bless you. Teaching today is entitled Atami Zuyun Kyo from Daily Inspirations, page 27. God chose Atami as the site of the prototype of paradise on earth and has assigned the mission of constructing it to me, called the Paradise of Glorious Skies. This place, a man-made creation, joins nature's beauty in perfect balance. The Zuyun-kyo gardens in Atami evoke being in a paradise, where myriad flowers smile and countless birds sing. Whenever I look at the scenery surrounding the prototype of paradise in Atami, I'm always impressed and enchanted by the beauty and harmony embodied in these trees, foliage, and stately hillside. Atami is probably the most scenic place in Japan, blessed with many great features. Its beautiful view of neighboring mountains and ocean coastline, the mild climate, natural hot springs, and easy accessibility. From all of this, shouldn't it be clear that the creation of the earth was done with extremely long-term planning? Probably many millions of years ago, God designated Japan as a scenic park for the world, and in it prepared paradise-like places with an ideal climate, topography, and natural beauty. Waiting there until the time was right, they are, of course, Atami, Hakone, and Mount Fuji. In particular, God intended Atami to be the most ideal, perfect place. When the advancement of material civilization made the construction of paradise possible, I was born in accord with God's plan. Through a series of events, God guided me to live in Atami and begin the realization of His goal, the construction of the prototype of paradise on earth. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning service of the Miroku Association. Atami is very special for me. It was the place where I spent most of my training. It was about 7 months. And this happened between 1987, 1988. That's where I met my wife, and that's where I got married. So Atami is very special for me individually. And it was a place where I had a very significant faith experience, for me anyways. My first 3 months in the sacred grounds there were challenging because I had difficulty with the Japanese food. It was my first winter outside Brazil. I was suffering with the cold weather. And in the month of February, this is what happened. Myself and the other trainees, we would stay in the dormitory, and we received a visit from a senior minister from Brazil. So he came late in the evening from his traveling. Restaurants were almost all closed. And he opened the fridge of our dorm because he was hungry, and there was nothing there. He was disappointed, said, "Oh, you guys don't have anything to eat here." We explained our reality. We said, "Look, Reverend, our allowance here is quite limited. Food is expensive in Japan, so we can't, buy extras, snacks, or whatever." And he decided, okay, I will talk to the international department so you guys can have an allowance, food allowance every week, so you can have the supply of bread, cheese, eggs, milk, coffee. And so he did. And when we received that weekly supply, I changed my diet. Instead of going to the cafeteria to have Japanese food, I was making omelets, eating toast with bread and cheese, and I practically spent a month not going to the cafeteria, staying at the dorm, and eating that. At the same time, my focus on studying Japanese, which was part of my mission while training in Japan, deviated. I was once one of the best students of the Japanese language among the trainees, but then I bought this very book here, The Foundation of Paradise, which is a collection of Meishu-sama's teachings, and started studying the teachings in English a lot, because I had already decided that if I would be permitted, I would like to come to the United States to do expansion work here. So by studying the teachings in English, I neglected my Japanese studies. So with my change of diet and change of focus in Japanese, my grades decreased, and my teacher noticed my changing behavior. And by the end of February, so she decided to ask a minister's help. Oh, can you talk to Negrão to see what's going on with him? So this minister came, and I didn't have a particular spiritual affinity with that minister, but I was listening to what he had to say. He asked me what was going on. I talked about the weather. I talked about the food, Japanese food, and then told him, and most especially breakfast. My idea of breakfast was coffee, milk, bread, butter, but to eat rice, pickles, fish right in the morning, miso soup, green tea was not my cup of tea. So that was particularly hard on me. And then he suggested, look, you will not spend your whole life here. There are just few months that you have a visa. Enjoy your time here. Have fun. If you have the permission to go to the United States, that's in God's plan. So don't worry about it. Concentrate in studying Japanese. And my suggestion, following day, tomorrow, which was when we were talking, go to the cafeteria and have the Japanese breakfast. So I look at him not really believing that that was what he was advising, and I didn't feel that that would change my perception of what Japan was for me. But I told him I will at least try, and so I did. And for me, this was the magical point, because that breakfast Japanese style was so delicious. I couldn't believe it. It was for me, it was like magic. And then I even thought maybe he talked to the cooks over there. Maybe they changed some of the ingredients with nature farming ingredients. How come I was not enjoying this? This is delicious. So from that point, everything changed for me. So that experience was relevant because here in this country, in the United States or in Canada, there are so many immigrants, and many immigrants in the very beginning, they are very excited. But then when these cultural shocks happen, they tend to, like I did, oh, in my country, this is better. In my country, that thing is better. Or the thing is not pleasing. But once we pass the 3 months period, I think that's the challenge that we must face. and we start then finally seeing the positive points of the place that we are assigned, that God has sent us for some mission to accomplish. So that was my experience, and that I always pray and I always encourage those who are having this cultural shock, this difficulty in adapting to a new place, that no, just wait at least 3 months. I think things will be changing. It's not the place or the people that change, it's our own perception anyway. It's up to us to grow and learn. Today, I would like to share this faith experience from Bianca de Souza. She's from Jacareí, Brazil. Jacareí is the place where my maternal grandmother was born. And this faith experience was shared today, June 21st. Bianca is 33 years old and live with her husband and son, currently 11 years old, all members of our church. They had been going through marital conflicts that had intensified to the point where they spoke to each other only when it was strictly necessary, living together practically as two strangers. In March of 2020, a cousin whom Bianca considers very much contacted her reporting she was having problems in her marriage. Bianca tried to comfort her. Bianca told her that everything happens so that we can learn something and that we need to get closer to God so that we have the necessary understanding about our situations. At this point, Bianca stopped and listened to what she herself has said and realized how often we have knowledge but don't practice it. After that, in front of Meishu-sama's picture, Bianca prayed and made the commitment that she would strive to be the best wife possible, and that she would try her utmost to make her husband happy. As our online services were already being broadcast daily, Bianca began watching them, asking for strength to fulfill her goal. At the same time, she began reading the divine writings of Meishu-sama's teachings. As Bianca was not yet talking to her husband, she gave him Johrei every night while he was sleeping. Bianca performed Mitama Migaki at home. Mitama Migaki, this word in Japanese, means dedication of cleanups as a way of polishing one's soul. Prepared meals that she knew her husband liked, while trying to have a more gentle and kind posture. In April of 2020, Bianca listened to a guidance of a practice of faith that consisted of watching the online evening services, practicing Johrei with family members, and reading at least one teaching of Meishu-sama daily. Bianca asked God for courage and invited her husband to join her in the practice of faith. And to her joy, he readily accepted. They practiced Johrei, their son dedicated reading and teaching the three major calamities and the three minor calamities, and they reflected on the writings together. At the end of the activity, they hugged and thanked each other. At bedtime, they had a conversation like never before, in which they recognized their mistakes and committed to changing their attitudes so that they could live in harmony again. From that day on, they felt the atmosphere in the home changed. Their relationship has improved significantly, and when a disagreement arises, Bianca tries not to emphasize the negative and avoid conflict. Bianca remains firm with the daily channeling of Johrei, watching the services, and reading the teachings of Meishu-sama, while seeking the necessary wisdom to deal with daily adversities. With the gradual reopening of the Johrei Center, Bianca took a new dedications, and she's ever more committed to the divine work. Bianca is grateful to God and Meishu-sama for the permission to live this experience, which brought her many learnings, changes in her feelings, strengthened her faith in Johrei and the divine writings of Meishu-sama's teachings, and made her understand the importance of practicing selfless and altruistic love. This was a nice experience from Bianca de Souza. This is the beginning of summer, so I wish you a very pleasant summer. Stay safe. Have a very blessed day. With this concludes our morning service. Thank you very much.